Hey guys, in this video I actually want to quickly just cover the news of TikTok being voted to be banned in the US by the House of Representatives. This is a significant day for technology and social media, and it's a pretty big deal because there has never been a social media that's been voted to be banned by the government. If you didn't already know, TikTok is owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance, and the reason why the government is concerned is because ByteDance is a Chinese company, and because they operate in China, the Chinese government is known to do a lot of sketchy things like espionage, and there's actually stories of the US government setting up secret government buildings in the US without the consent from the United States. So, because they do these things, oh, and remember the whole balloon situation like last year or 2 years ago? There was Chinese balloons spying on everyone. So, you know, the Chinese tend to be a little sneaky. Not the Chinese government. There's no racism here, right? The Chinese government tends to be a little bit sneaky. So the thing is that because TikTok is operating under the Communist Party of China, the fear is that they are using TikTok as a platform to collect data that they shouldn't be collecting from millions and millions of users from the United States. And by doing this, the fear is that they might be using the data to manipulate the users, to control the devices in ways they shouldn't be controlling, and to influence users by showing them certain things, by manipulating the algorithm, by showing them either false propaganda or correct propaganda, or you know false narratives throughout the app, by just ignorant people who believe anything that's trending on a social media. And as sad as that might sound, it actually is very effective. A lot of news spreads through these short reels and through memes, whether you like it or not, without fact checking whether that works or not. So that's basically the concern, and that is why TikTok was voted to be banned. Now, when that if that bill is executed, I read somewhere, I couldn't find it here in the CNN article, but I did read it somewhere. So just take my word with a grain of salt. But once the bill is executed, TikTok has 5 months to either sell TikTok to an American company, so that there would be a transition period where a new owner, presumably someone from America, would be monitoring the the data and the app and take over charge, and there would be new ownership, and it would be functioning or operating under the American regulations and laws. And if they don't sell it, it's basically over. It gets cut completely, and the 7,000 TikTok employees that are operating in the US would just get laid off. So, on top of all this, once TikTok gets banned, and they don't sell it, and they don't stop, and they just stop operating in the US, 7,000 new tech workers in the US will be in the layoff pool, along with the other hundred tens of thousands of people. But yeah, that's the overall news of the TikTok situation. I just want to give a few opinions on this. I don't use TikTok. I'm a little too old for that. I'm almost 30, so I don't know. I got other shit to do than to watch people do shit with like background music. I don't know. I'm not hating on you if you use TikTok. It's just I couldn't get into it. But that being said, I kind of understand both sides because um well, before I get into it, I had a few article headlines to read here. So, TikTok CEO says the ban would take billions of dollars out of the pockets of creators because obviously some people make their living off of TikTok, whether it's like, just funny content or memes or promotions and stuff like that. People promote their brands on TikTok. Their whole DNA and social media presence is primarily on TikTok, just like how this channel I'm building is on YouTube exclusively. Imagine if I worked really hard on TikTok and um, my whole like platform was gonna get banned by the U.S. government. That sucks. But I think the other side of the argument is there's a lot of other apps you could just transition to. Your fan base from one um, platform could easily keep up to date with you, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or YouTube. I'm sure everyone on TikTok has another platform, a backup platform, just in case something like this happens and they could keep their fans up to date. If you're primarily making money on TikTok, you could easily just go onto Instagram Reels, right? Am I wrong? I mean, it's the same shit, right? I'm sure there's arguments that it's not blah blah blah, algorithms different, whatever. To me, it's close enough. All right, you'll figure out another app to transition to, but all these creators that are making a living off of one app, I mean, you have to have a plan to transition, right? If YouTube goes down, I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna start uploading my shit on Instagram in like 5 minute videos. It's not that hard. So I don't know. And I think the threat from TikTok outweighs, cutting off the platform because there's other platforms these people could go on. It's not like you're cutting off their entire brand. The people's brands still exist. They just have to re-upload or just transition to another app. And don't you think there's like 400 developers? All these people are laid off, right, from tech. With this news, so there's at least 10 companies creating a TikTok clone as we speak. So I wouldn't be worried about these creators. Another headline. Oh yeah, this is just to back up what I said earlier. Up here it says what a TikTok ban could mean for employees and HR. First and foremost, TikTok employs around 7,000 people in the US, and any ban or sale would most likely just signal the end of their employment, or if a change of ownership did occur, a very unstable future. So basically, this whole situation, no matter what happens, is gonna suck ass for these 7,000 people. I bet all of them are already looking for jobs right now. So yeah, that sucks for them. Um, but anyways, on to my thoughts. I had some notes here. Okay, so here's the opinions for going against the man. All right. So for people, the argument doesn't that does not support banning TikTok. The first one I thought of was, banning TikTok is silly. First of all, because if you compare it to guns, there's been many mass shootings in the U.S. and yet guns aren't banned, but you're gonna ban TikTok. Now there is some point to that. Now before you leave a comment on my video saying, there's the mass shootings, the statistics are incorrect. It's mostly suicide. It's mostly, you know, self harm. There's more mass shootings in other places. Blah blah blah. There's more cases of people defending their homes and stuff. First of all, let me tell you right now, if I could afford an assault rifle, I will buy one. Okay, but I'm broke. I can't afford one. I want to. If you want to send me an assault rifle legally, please do, because I do want one. But that being said, you can't lie. They do have a point because they're banned. The whole government's like overnight is banning a TikTok app because it's dangerous, but they don't want to ban all these rifles. Now, I'm not saying that we should do that because I don't think we should. I think we should think more about it. Um, so I don't know. I'm not siding with that opinion, but I'm saying it is sort of a valid thing to compare, right? The other thing is that the other argument is that it doesn't make sense because, it doesn't make sense to ban TikTok under the assumption that China might be manipulating its users and stuff. But that doesn't make sense either because the US manipulates its own citizens via, these TV networks, whether it's Fox News supporting the Republican Party or CNN skewing certain information about the vaccine and painting certain people in a better light than they are, or ignoring certain facts about COVID, saying you should just definitely take it, blah blah blah. Both sides, Republican and Democrat, do the same shit where they manipulate and they skew certain data points to make themselves look better. how is that different at all than what they claim that TikTok might be doing to their users? Doesn't Facebook do that to their users? So these are very valid arguments. The last one is the argument is that you shouldn't ban TikTok because freedom of expression. Because when you take down a platform, you're taking down the voices of the people. Now, in my opinion, I don't agree with this one because I think the concern is the actual platform itself, not the expression part. Because they're saying that the platform, the way it functions, the way it's collecting data is dangerous because of how it might be utilized against the users, not the users themselves, how they're expressing it. So I think that didn't really make sense to me. So those were some reasons or some viewpoints of why TikTok should not be banned. Now I'm gonna go over reasons why TikTok should be banned. So the first one's obvious. It's intrusive as fuck. It's going through everyone's devices in ways that you don't really consent to and that you're not really acknowledged about. The other reason is that it's operating under China, and China is very sneaky. I mean, the Chinese government is very sneaky. All right, from the weather balloon spying stuff, from setting up secret government um, operating buildings in the U.S. without consent, to their own crazy laws against their own citizens, like all the monitoring and just spying, all of that stuff. I think there's evidence. There's enough evidence to know that they do have some dictatorship going on, and citizens can be scared. Um, so yeah, it's like, do we really want that sort of power to be collecting all the data from millions and millions of Americans, and who knows what technology they have to like track everyone, and like it could get really dangerous. So I think that's a pretty good reason to ban TikTok. Um, the other thing that I thought about was that China already censors a lot of United States stuff, and they prevent U.S. stuff from being used over there. Like for example, Hollywood. Hollywood caters to the Chinese government because they're a bunch of fucking wimps that can't defend themselves. And whenever there's something in their movies that offends China, they fold and they remove and change things from their movies to please the Chinese government in order to have their product or their movie shown over there just for profit to make more money. One example is, I think I should have came up I should have had a list of examples, but there's a lot. If you look up Marvel Chinese ban or something, you'll find something about the monk or something like that. I think there was a few Disney movies that had a change or had a we had Hollywood had to make several alternate versions for China because they were so strict and there was like no way working around them. So it's like, why are we folding so much to the Chinese government? It's like, fuck you. Like, you can't use TikTok where we are. Then like, fuck you, get out of here. So, that's a viewpoint I agree with too. Is like, the Chinese government already banned so much of our shit. Like, we just want to ban this one thing that we know for sure is a fucking national security issue. All right. The other reason is China is just it's a communist dictator party. All right. So, um, whether we have good business with them and we do a lot of commerce with them and there's a lot of trade and a lot of our shit's made there, I think it's in terms of politics they are enemies. All right. That's it. So yeah. Um, and then lastly, in my opinion, I'd rather have my own government spying on me rather than another government. But ideally, I'd rather have no government spying on me. But if I had to choose one, I'd rather have the US spy on me. Anyways, those were my opinions. Those were my viewpoints. I don't want to drag this video for too long because it's been 14 minutes. Holy shit. Um, I, at the end of the day, I think TikTok should not be operating the way it is, especially because it's coming from a foreign country and because so many people use it. But I do see how this seems blown way out of proportion, and that there's so much spying and unknown things happening in our own government that what, as a citizen, what's the difference, right? So I think what it comes down to is, I guess it's like, what power wants more control over its people? It's like, we already don't want our own government having too much monitoring and power over us, but that's already happening. So why, like, I guess at the end of the day, the question is, should we let a foreign country do that too, and overstepping our own government, which is already overstepping us? So I, I, I think there's good arguments on both sides. Personally, because I don't use TikTok at all, and I see the issues, I would have to lean slightly in favor of banning TikTok, but only slightly, because I understand the counter arguments. But if I had to choose one, I would choose to ban it. Anyways, that is the end of this video. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. If some of my information was off, I'm sorry. Um, but yeah. Um, anyways, that was just my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you wanted some different insight, I hope this was fun.